What's happening, YouTube? Espresso Shucko here, and we are bringing Koraidon to the Reg G ranked ladder. For the most part, this is a fairly standard Koraidon here. We have the Terrifier, we have the Clear Amulet, we have both Collision Course and Flare Blitz, as well as Protect, but the one thing that is a little bit different here is Iron Head. Typically what you see on Koraidon might be Flame Charge and Flare Blitz so that Koraidon can get some speed, or a Dragon type stab option, maybe say Dragon Claw or Scale Shot, but the problem here is if you run into a Pokemon that is naturally immune to fire type attacks thanks to its ability, and that Pokemon terastallizes into a fairy type, Koraidon is going to have a miserable time. So we're going to try to get around that with Iron Head here to do some steel type super effective damage, and hopefully it works out, and if not, well, we have it in our back pocket just in case we do need it to do some damage. And plus, the other thing here is if we run into an ice type, maybe Calyrex Ice Rider, well, at least we have the potential flinch dodge if we don't have to worry about redirection, so we do have that in our back pocket too. We have Rillaboom here to provide a little bit of support for the team with its grassy terrain thanks to Grassy Surge. We have Terra Ghost on this Rillaboom here in case we're worried about taking Fake Out from a faster Fake Out user, and then we also have Grassy Glide to have some nice priority while the grassy terrain is up. And plus, the nice thing here about Rillaboom is it is a terrain setter, which means we can potentially get around Miraidon's electric terrain by having Rillaboom. Rillaboom is naturally slower than Miraidon, so if we end up running into Miraidon and Rillaboom on the leads, well, we can override the electric terrain with our grassy terrain, so we do have that. We have U-turn to pivot out Rillaboom if we need to, and plus we can recycle our Fake Out as well as our grassy terrain, especially if our grassy terrain turns are getting low. And then we have Woodhammer to take advantage of the fact that grassy terrain does boost up grass type attacks to do some major damage. We have Incineroar here with its Intimidate support as well as Fake Out and Parting Shot, you know, standard Incineroar stuff. And we have Knockoff here to remove some items, while Flare Blitz gets to take advantage of Koraidon Sun and do some major damage. We have Grassy Seed, Calm Mind, Raging Bolt here, and we have the Calm Mind to boost up our special attack and special defense. Normally, I'm used to running the Assault Vest, so we're going to try out the Grassy Seed here. We'll get a +1 into our defense if we get Raging Bolt and Rillaboom onto the field at the same time. We have Electro Web for a little bit of speed control. We have Dragon Pulse to just hit some things while not losing special attack, as opposed to, say, running Draco Meteor. And then we have Thunderclap here to act as a little bit of a means of keeping faster threats in check, so long as I can't get any speed drops off of the Electro Webs. We have Tornadus here with Bleak Wind Storm to have a little bit of spread damage and some potential speed control. Am I expecting Bleak Wind Storm to hit? No, I am not. But we do have it to try to hit, and if we do hit, I'll consider that a small win in my book. We have Sunny Day here, not Sunny Terrain. Gen 10 mechanic right there, terrain and weather blended together. But anyways, we have Sunny Day here to reset our sun for Koraidon if we run into an opposing weather setter, or maybe we run into a Terapagos. We can reset the sun for Koraidon. Koraidon would get its Orichalcum Pulse back, so we can reset the sun, which would also enable Raging Bolt and Flutter Mane, and that also means if a matchup is absolutely abhorrent to Koraidon, we could rely a little bit more on Raging Bolt and Flutter Mane for that sense. And we have Tailwind for natural speed control, which Rillaboom is definitely going to be very appreciative since it does have that U-turn as well. Finally, we have Flutter Mane here with Shadow Ball, Moonblast, and Icy Wind. The Icy Wind is going to be a little bit of extra speed control. Shadow Ball, Moonblast, go burr. You guys have seen me run this Flutter Mane before. You know what it does. Anyways, let's jump on in to some battles. Alright, we have a Lunala team here with Indeedee, Iron Crown, Urshifu, Incineroar, and Raging Bolt. So that will be a little bit of a problem for Koraidon here, since we won't be able to hit the Lunala for super effective damage with Collision Course, since it's a ghost type. But Lunala does like to run Terra Fairy, so we might be able to do a little bit of super effective damage that way too, so we might be okay. I think what we might want to do is we might bring the Raging Bolt and Rillaboom together, and then that way if Indeedee comes out, well, even if it overrides the Grassy terrain, we do get our Psychic Seed, or our Grassy Seed, sorry. And plus, I don't dislike the idea of Psychic terrain going up and blocking Fake Out or opposing Thunderclaps, so we might be okay there if we do the Raging Bolt and Rillaboom. Koraidon might be alright if we can get some big damage off, and if we run into, or if we get the opportunity to Parting Shot the Lunala, that might be nice too with Incineroar. So Incineroar might be an okay means of dealing with this, and honestly, I do want to bring the Koraidon just in case we can get some big damage off. Collision Course is still going to hit like a truck, and if we can hit Incineroar with it, great. Now, I don't have the best of means of hitting Raging Bolt for super effective damage, but at least Koraidon can dent it so long as it doesn't terastallize, and maybe I get lucky. Maybe the Iron Crown is the one that terastallizes. So we might be alright here. We'll definitely take a look and see how this goes. So it's going to be Urshifu Incineroar, so Fake Out is going to be a little bit annoying, but not really for Rillaboom, because Rillaboom is guaranteed to outspeed Incineroar. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to Calm Mind with Raging Bolt, and I'm going to Fake Out the Incineroar. And then that way I can do some big damage to that Urshifu if I wanted to on the following turn, which Urshifu would really not appreciate in Electro Web. Now, they could just potentially switch in DD2, but I think I'm going to go for the Fake Out just in case, just to try to keep Raging Bolt safe. We'll get a Calm Mind up, and then this way too, Raging Bolt's going to be bulky enough that it can handle close combat no problem, and I don't think I have any issues with Wicked Blow coming out. So we'll get our Calm Mind off. I can always U-turn out Rillaboom, which would be okay. We're going to eat a Poison Jab, but that's fine. We're going to get our Calm Mind off, and now we can go for the Electro Web. We don't have to worry about redirection. And U-turn is going to do super effective damage to Indeedee as well, so we do have that. So we could potentially U-turn out, reset our attack drop. I can switch into Koraidon, and then that way I can just hit the Urshifu for some big damage on the following turn. So I think I'm going to Electro Web and U-turn. We didn't see a Psychic Seed, so this might be sashed Indeedee, and if it is, that could be okay, because it might be a little bit more physically bulky versus specially. So the fact that we did get our Calm Mind off could be relatively handy. So in theory, Raging Bolt should be okay for taking Poison Jabs, since we do have the Grassy Seed boost. So we do have that. So how much is this Wicked Blow? It doesn't tickle, but we took it no problem. So we're going to get our Electro Web off, and good to know it's Rocky Helmet Indeedee, so that could be a little bit annoying, but it's not the worst case scenario. So what I could do is I could switch in Incineroar and then Parting Shot off of something if I wanted to, and then bring in Rillaboom, or I could just bring in the Koraidon. The fact that I do have knockoff, though, is going to be really nice for dealing with Lunala, so I'd rather keep that in my back pocket. So what I'm going to do here, depending on how much damage I do, I might just Electro Web the Urshifu a second time, and then that way we could be okay. Yeah, I think I Electro Web again. I think I might just switch Rillaboom back in. Or what I do is I could just switch Rillaboom back in and Electro Web, and then that way I get the Grassy Terrain up. Koraidon did set the sun for the Raging Bolt, so I could do something like that. I could even switch in Incineroar. I think I'll bring in the Rillaboom, and I think I'm just going to Electro Web again. And then this way too, we do have the sun working in Raging Bolt's favor. We have the extra power boost from Photosynthesis, so we do have that. Actually, because I have a defense boost, I might even have the Photosynthesis boosting up my defense instead. Urshifu is going to switch out. That's great. So I don't mind this at all, because I can go for a Fake Out into the Incineroar. I'm faster with Rillaboom, so I don't have to worry about Fake Outs that way. Now, I do have to worry about Follow Me. Actually, no, I don't, because this should be enough to KO. But what I could do is I could just Fake Out the Incineroar, and then that way Raging Bolt should be alright. I could always go Terra Fairy with Raging Bolt to get around a Wicked Blow, so there is that too. I also have the ability to Thunderclap the Urshifu now, which is going to be really nice, so I kind of just want to do that and finish it off. So I might fake out Incineroar. If Urshifu comes in, I might just go for the Thunderclap into it. So a Sucker Punch would be unfortunate, but I should be alright at the end of the day. So I'm going to fake out into the Incineroar. I'm going to Thunderclap into the Urshifu. And Sucker Punch is the only way they get around Thunderclap at this point. So it should be alright at the end of the day. And I don't mind going for the U-turn with... Okay, they're just going to straight up switch out the Urshifu. So here comes the Lunala. That's fine with me. I'm going to fake out Incineroar. I can Electro Web with Raging Bolt. I could also go for a U-turn into the Lunala to break the Shadow Shield, which wouldn't be the worst thing imaginable either. You know what? Even a Dragon Pulse into the Incineroar might not be too bad either. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to U-turn into the Lunala. I think I'm going to Dragon Pulse into the Incineroar. And then that way, I should be able to do enough damage to the Incineroar that either I knock it out or I put it within KO range. So we're going to break the Shadow Shield. I think that's not enough damage, though, to have Lunala... Like, I think Lunala will get its HP back. But I'm going to bring in my own Incineroar to get some Fake Out pressure on the field. And if they bring in Urshifu, great. Yeah, and the other thing, too, is we also get an attack drop into the Incineroar, which could be really nice for my Raging Bolt. So here comes a Meteor Beam. If this is into Incineroar, that's going to be really unpleasant. But you know what? If it is, props to my opponent for calling that switch. So it's actually into Raging Bolt, so... okay, yeah, we take that no problem, thanks to the Calm Mind boost. So let's get the Dragon Pulse off into the Incineroar. That's a clean KO. Also, good to know that the Lunala is faster than my Raging Bolt. And unfortunately, that is enough to heal them back up. So U-turn wasn't enough damage. But what I can do here, I can fake out the Urshifu. And I can Electro Web the Koraidon. And that, or not Electro Web the Koraidon. Electro Web the Lunala so that Koraidon can come in here and definitely have the Shadow Shield broken for it. So my opponent does forfeit. That works out relatively nice. Koraidon actually just had to set the sun for Raging Bolt, so I'm very happy with how that played out since we did have the Photosynthesis boost. And Raging Bolt did what it needed to do. So I'm very happy with that, and also good game to my opponent. Alright, we have a Lugia team with Comfey, Garganacl, Incineroar, Urshifu, and Ogerpon Wellspring. So they definitely have redirection support with the Ogerpon. They have Fake Out support with the Incineroar. They potentially have Wide Guard support on the Garganacl. The Garganacl might actually be a very big problem. The Lugia, I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to see for an opposing Terra type, which could be really bad for Koraidon here. But what I do like is that I can bring in the Raging Bolt, and I can resist both of Ogerpon's stabs so long as I don't Terastallize. I can go for a Calm Mind. Incineroar could be really nice as well, since I can go for the Calm Mind with Raging Bolt, Fake Out something that I'm worried about, maybe the Lugia even, and just go for some big damage that way. Yeah, I could do that. I could also Parting Shot into the Lugia, which would be really nice. So we could do that. Koraidon's going to be really nice for dealing with the Incineroar and the Urshifu. And plus, we do have the Iron Head for the Comfey, which I don't think my opponent will see coming, which could be really nice. And honestly, I don't think I need Speed Control. I think I need Fake Out pressure. I think I really need a lot of Fake Out pressure here. So I think we're going to bring the Rillaboom. And the other thing, too, is Lugia does like to run Calm Mind, but the nice thing here is at least what it's going to be is it's going to be specially defensive, which means only Raging Bolt is going to have an issue with that. Now, I kind of wish I had Snarl on Raging Bolt, but I don't, so I might have to save the Terra for either Raging Bolt or Koraidon here. Honestly, if it's Aeroblast, I could try to PP stall that, and then that way we just have to deal with Air Slash if it's not Aeroblast. So it's going to be Lugia Incin. Alright, so now my Incineroar might get outsped by the Lugia, which could be a really big problem. So we could have that on our hands. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to Calm Mind with Raging Bolt. I think I'm just going to try to fake out the Lugia here, try to break the multi-scale, and then that way, if they go for fake out into Incin and Incin goes first, even better. So we'll see how this works out. Lugia could be a little bit of a problem for this team, not going to lie. So we'll have to see how we handle it. And maybe I get lucky. Maybe my opponent just immediately terrestrializes. So maybe they terrestrialize their Lugia. Maybe they terrestrialize Incineroar. No, it's just the Lugia. So it is going to be Terra Fairy on the Lugia here, which, you know what? That's fine. If I get my Terra Fire Koraidon set up, and Iron Head, even better. So they fake out Raging Bolt. I'm going to fake out Lugia. So at least there's that. Oh, they're Covert Cloak. All right, that's delightful. All right. Good to know. All right. So what I could do here is I can go for Calm Mind, and I actually, you know what? I kind of like the idea of going for Electro Web. I kind of like the idea of going for Electro Web and Parting Shot into the Lugia here. So they're going to get a second Calm Mind off, which the fact that they are the fastest thing on the field definitely makes me want to get this speed drop into them. And plus, on top of that, we can also get the special attack drop off into Lugia with the Parting Shot, especially since we now know it's Covert Cloak. So one thing that might be nice, though, is being able to get the Iron Head off into Lugia. So I think I'm going to bring Koraidon in. I think I'm going to Iron Head this thing. I won't be able to pick up the flinch by any means, because the Covert Cloak will protect them from that, but at least Raging Bolt's going to get a special attack boost. So what I could do is I can Iron Head into the Lugia. They're just going to slap away my Grassy Seed, which is alright. I think I'm going to Calm Mind with Raging Bolt. I think I'm just going to straight Collision Course the Incineroar, because that could be a little bit of a problem in the long run. So I'm potentially letting Lugia set up another Calm Mind or go for big damage into Koraidon, which could be really bad. But on the flip side, what I can do here is I can start building up special defense boosts into Raging Bolt. There's no weakness policy or anything that's modifying damage outside of outside of Calm Mind. So in theory, if Raging Bolt gets set up, Raging Bolt can just deal with it. So it's going to be Comfey coming in here. I really do like the idea of going for Iron Head into Comfey if Koraidon gets to survive. And then that way we can just get rid of the Floral Healing. So they're going to go for another Calm Mind, which that's perfectly fine right now. Raging Bolt is going to get its own special defense boost up now. And I think what I might have to do is I think I might have to heavily rely on Raging Bolt for this one. So I think I'm going to Calm Mind with Raging Bolt. I think on top of this, I'm going to Iron Head the Comfey, and then that way we have some super effective damage going off, and if they only get healed up the once, great. Incineroar does have the Flare Blitz to hit Lugia with. We might pick up a Burn, which could get some chip damage off into it and keep multi-scale broken, so I think if we get rid of Comfey, great. If they go for either Trick Room or Tailwind for some speed, no, they're just going to Drain and Kiss. They probably thought that Koraidon was going to terrestrialize there, or they probably thought that Koraidon was just going to go down, which, you know what? The fact that Koraidon did not pick up the KO into that Comfey is a little bit concerning. But what we could do is we can get another Calm Mind off into Raging Bolt. Ooh, that's unpleasant. All right. So I think I'm going to pop the... I think I'm going to have to pop the... might have to pop the Terra on Koraidon here. Because Raging Bolt only has like 4 HP, or 10 HP. Yeah. We're going to try to get some damage off and go for the Electro Web. I'm going to pop the Terra Fire onto Raging Bolt here, or Koraidon. And I'm going to try to get rid of the Comfey, because what they might do this time is they might go for Draining Kiss into Koraidon instead, since I'm 4 times weak to Fairy. And if they do, that could be really bad. So getting Incineroar in might be needed for the parting shot into Lugia. So they are going for Koraidon this time. So, you know what? Getting a little bit of extra damage off into them with the Raging Bolt could be big in the long run. So we'll finish off Comfey, which means no Floral Healing for Lugia. Now they could just go for Recover, which could be bad. But getting speed drops into this thing could be, well, we got the 1 speed drop in the bare minimum. So there is that. If they bring in Incineroar, I can always bring in Rillaboom and fake out that way. Yeah, it's Incineroar, so I think what I do is I fake out the... I think I fake out the Incin, and then let Koraidon go for the Iron Head into Lugia, just try to get some damage off. And if Koraidon survives, great. Because then what I can do is I can try to just get the double up into the Lugia. So I might be able to do something like that. Actually, you know what? Flare Blitz might actually be the better means of hitting this thing. Because I do have the stab on it, and on top of that, I do have the Orichalcum Pulse. So yeah, I think I'm going to try the Flare Blitz here. Try to get that stab damage off into it with the Sun Boost. So if I can put Lugia into a closer range for KOing with Rillaboom, that could be really nice too. Thank you, Koraidon. Okay. I was not expecting that much. Yeah, okay. Okay. Probably should have Flare Blitzed the Comfey, too. That's also the last turn of Sun, but you know what? I can live with that. I can live with that a lot. So, who's the last Pokemon? Also, I think I Collision Course this Incineroar. Yeah, I think I Collision Course the Incineroar. It's Garganacl coming in here now. I think I'm going to U-turn, and I think I'm going to Collision Course into Incin, and then that way we can just get that off the field, and Koraidon can just do what it needs to do to deal with the Garganacl. So yeah, I was not expecting that much damage off Flare Blitz, because Lugia is a bulky boy, but hey, I will definitely take that. And also, goodbye, Incineroar. Nice knowing you. We can get the attack drop out of Rillaboom now with the U-turn, and then that way we should be in an alright position. Because what's the Garganacl gonna do? Salt Cure me? That's not gonna be a lot of damage at the end of the day. So what I can do is I can always Parting Shot into Garganacl if I would need to. So they are going to Salt Cure me, which, you know what? I'm fine with that, because Koraidon's going to take that. Koraidon's going to take that like a champ. And also the fact that Salt Cure is only base 40 power, but small details. Alright, so what I think I can do this one turn here, though, is I think I can afford to attempt the Collision Course here and the Fake Out. And actually, you know what? Even if they went Protect, they would still block it anyway. So I'm just going to Knock Off, and I'm going to Collision Course. And yeah, that'll be some big damage. So in theory, I don't think this is sturdy. Yeah, it's not. I was going to say, in theory, if it's sturdy, at least I have myself covered that way. But it's not. Just, man, I just cannot get over the amount of damage that Koraidon just did there to that Lugia with the Flare Blitz. Like, you know, Miraidon deletes things, but so does Koraidon. And you know what? I'm very happy with how that played out. I was really expecting the Lugia to... I mean, I was realistically expecting the Lugia to maybe take like 70% of its HP, 80. I wasn't expecting a straight-up knockout right there, but hey. Fire-type attack into Terra Fairy Lugia. It worked. And also, I might be rethinking what I said about the Iron Head in the intro just a smidge. But anyways, good game to my opponent. All right, we have Grimmsnarl, Rillaboom, Urshifu, Lugia, Blastoise, and Raging Bolt. So we could see some fake out pressure from either the Grimmsnarl, the Rillaboom, or the Blastoise. On the flip side, we might even see some Water Spout damage from the Blastoise, which could be bad too. The other thing is Blastoise also has 2 points difference between special attack and attack, so that could even be a physical attacker, but considering they have the first three of their team being Urshifu, Rilla, and Grimm, I think it's going to be a special attacker on the Blastoise. Now, the Lugia could be a little bit of a problem, but we can do some big damage to that thing with Koraidon, so we definitely have that. So, I think maybe what I do here is I bring Koraidon and maybe Incin. Reflect off Grimmsnarl could be really bad, though. Yeah. Reflect off Grimmsnarl could be bad. Light Screen could be bad, too. But I think we bring Raging Bolt and Rillaboom. I think we bring Koraidon in the back. And I think we bring Incineroar. And then that way we can have some parting shot support. I think we can do that. Yeah, that might be okay here. I'm assuming it's maybe Light Clay on the Grimmsnarl, so my opponent's going to be very defensively bulky, so I'm going to be very careful with when I go for the Flare Blitz because of the amount of recoil I'll do to myself. So we'll have to see how this makes out. Ready. So we have Grimmsnarl Lugia. All right, so definitely not something I want to see right out of the gate, but it makes sense. What I could do, I could fake out the Grimmsnarl, and I could Calm Mind my Raging Bolt. And then that way I can go for a little bit of damage into some stuff. I might just eat it in... I honestly might just eat Nerf Power right out of the gate, which could be unpleasant, but I like making Grimmsnarl flinch, and then that way I don't have to worry potentially about what they do. So the Calm Mind is coming out of Lugia right out of the gate. You know what? Perfectly okay with that. I'm going to get my Calm Mind off of Raging Bolt. And what I might end up seeing is I might see the Grimmsnarl go for a Light Screen instead now that I've done that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for a second one. And I think I'm going to Woodhammer into the Grimmsnarl right here with Rillaboom. So they're going to get another Calm Mind off. And you know what? That's okay. We're going to get another special defense boost ourselves with Raging Bolt. And we're going to do some major damage to the Grimmsnarl. So they might just be going for a straight Spirit Break. And honestly, that's probably for the best. Because now I still have the special defense boost from Calm Mind. If they don't have any screens, I can Grassy Glide them for the KO into Grimm. And then that way I don't have to worry about... of course, that was a critical hit. So that's not pleasant, but I can live with it. So we also got the confirmation, too, that Rillaboom is faster than Grimmsnarl. So I think I'm going to Electro Web, try to get a little bit of damage off into the Lugia to break the multi-scale. And I'm going to Grassy Glide right into Grimm. We'll finish that off. No screens for them or whatever antics Grimmsnarl wants to do. The critical hit into Raging Bolt was really unpleasant, but we are going to live that Earth Power. And we're going to get a speed drop off into the Lugia. So depending on how fast that thing is, that's really handy for the Koraidon. So it's a weakness policy set, which is a little bit concerning, but at least we get a little bit of damage off into them. And Rillaboom should be faster than the Lugia at this point too. So what I want to do, I want to get some chip damage off into the Lugia. Blastoise is coming out here, so we can find out what the Blastoise wants to do. I was a little bit weary of Incineroar coming out. I'm going to Thunderclap into that, and honestly, it might just be a Fake Out. And if it is, Rillaboom can live with that. Rillaboom can live with that a lot, so I'm going to Woodhammer into the Blastoise, and it is just going to be a Fake Out. Rillaboom, or not Rillaboom, Raging Bolt's going to live that. So we're going to nail the Blastoise with the Wood Hammer and take out half of my opponent's team right there. And we'll find out what Lugia wants to do here. So Lugia is going for my Rillaboom with the Aeroblast. Great. That I did want to see. So what I can do now is I can bring out Incineroar just in case they go for their own Incineroar, and then I don't have to worry about the fake out. Because I'm going to save Koraidon for Lugia. So it's actually going to be Urshifu. Alright, so Urshifu single strike versus Raging Bolt. You know what? What I'm going to do here is I'm going to, on the off chance here, I'm gonna go for a fake out into the Urshifu. Actually, I'm gonna go for a fake out into the. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go for an Electroweb, and I'm gonna fake out into the Lugia just in case. Yeah, so they went for the Protect on the Urshifu, which means I'm gonna get a speed drop off into them, which I do want to see. And then that way, that should help things out, help Koraidon out in the long run. So, what I can do here is I can Thunderclap potentially into the Urshifu, potentially. And I can go for a little bit of damage into it as well with Incineroar. Yeah, I do not see Raging Bolt living this turn. I potentially don't even see the Incineroar living this turn, to be honest. It might turn into Koraidon versus Lugia and Raging Bolt. Or, sorry, Urshifu. Here comes the Wicked Blow into Incineroar. What? What? Okay, we get rid of the Urshifu. That's delightful. So if my opponent knocks out one of these two Pokemon, which honestly, oh, they could be going for Recover. No, they just went for, all right, perfect. So Lugia's got a big speed drop into it, and unless they're Terra Water, which I don't think they would be, Koraidon here can go for Flare Blitz, pop the Terra Fire, and do some major damage to my opponent. So we do have that. So we're going to pop the Terra Fire right here. And we do know they were weakness policy, so we don't have to worry about HP recovery. So we'll get our Terra off, and then Koraidon is just going to start hitting this thing, because it's got no physical defense boosts. So, in theory, if they just go for Recover, great. They'll heal up, but I'll still move before them. So here is the Terra. So this might be Terra Water, which, if it is, that's really unpleasant. No, it's Terra Fairy. It's Terra Fairy. We're in a neutral matchup with the Flare Blitz. Let's go! What are they expecting? What were they honestly expecting? Was it maybe knockoff, or... Because Flare Blitz is going to do that. I can't think of a better way to end that right there, so... The Lugia is gone. The Lugia is gone right there, so... Also, there was the double communication error, so that was a thing, but anyways. Server connection aside, we did get the Lugia knocked out, so I'm very happy with how Koraidon played out right there. Hey, thank you guys so much for checking out this Koraidon team in action. I had a lot of fun playing with this team here, and I had a wonderful time against two different Lugias and a Lunala, which honestly, the Koraidon didn't even get to come to the Lunala match that much. All it did was it came there, made its presence known, set the sun for my Incineroar, and gave Raging Bolt its Photosynthesis boost, which honestly, Raging Bolt just couldn't have asked for a better game there. We got the Electroweb off into the Urshifu. We did some major damage to it. We knocked out the Indeedee with the combination of Rillaboom and Raging Bolt, just wearing it down. We got the U-turn off into Indeedee. We got the Electroweb off into it. We picked it up. We ended up overriding the Psychic terrain with Grassy terrain. We got the Sun up. The Lunala attempted to deal with my Raging Bolt and hit it with a Meteor Beam, but thanks to our Calm Mind boost, we were able to shrug that off, no problem, and we ended up in an endgame with a very weakened Urshifu and a full HP Lunala, which the Lunala was faster than Raging Bolt, but Raging Bolt did end up having the Electro Web locked in, and I had the Fake Out into the Urshifu locked in, so we would have gotten the knockout into the Urshifu at that range. And even if Lunala had knocked out my Raging Bolt with maybe, say, a +1 Moonblast, which we don't know if they had that, the fact that they didn't do that, I don't know for sure. Like, they might have went for the +1 and then maybe thought it'd be okay, but we did still have our Terra on Koraidon, and once that Shadow Shield ended up broken, we would have had a delightful time with Flare Blitz, because like Shadow Shield, we had to play around with multi-skill as well with the Lugias, and Koraidon just did a wonderful amount of damage. I ended up trying to deal with the Comfey. I tried the Iron Head in the first matchup with Lugia, and the Iron Head just didn't do as much damage as I would have preferred it to do, but the nice thing here is my opponent didn't go for the Draining Kiss into Koraidon right away. They went for it into Raging Bolt, which allowed me to pop the Terrafire on the second turn and dodge that. And man, once we got that Terrafire off, we annihilated that Lugia. Like, we did a tremendous amount of damage to knock out that Terra Fairy Covert Cloak Lugia, and then once that was gone, we were able to pick off their Incineroar with Koraidon's Collision Course, and with Comfey gone too, there was no healing up from that. And then my other opponent here had Grimmsnarl and Lugia plus Blastoise and Urshifu. And honestly, the Wicked Blow off of the Urshifu into my Incineroar, maybe what they might have been expecting was for Incineroar to terrestrialize into something that might have been maybe Terra Ghost, so that they would have been able to dodge the close combat off of Urshifu, which might be the only reason why they might have went for that Wicked Blow. I'm thinking they would have knocked out Incineroar with a close combat at that range, so I think they thought I was Terra Ghost, and they were going to go for the Raging Bolt with Lugia. Now, luckily, that was not the case. We were able to get a Thunderclap off into the Urshifu, and then we went for the Flare Blitz into the Urshifu, knocking it out, and then with Lugia finishing off Raging Bolt, we were able to get Koraidon in. We saved Lugia for last, and then we popped the Terra Fire, which my opponent then decided to pop their Terra Fairy, which honestly, I don't know why they did that, because Flare Blitz is still neutral to Lugia as a Fairy type versus as its base Psychic Flying typing, and honestly, the Psychic Flying typing is way more resistant to Collision Course. But anyways, we sent them straight into the sun with that Flare Blitz and knocked them out, and Incineroar got to get a lesson on what Flare Blitz should be. And the nice thing too was in the beginning of that game as well, we were able to overwhelm the Grimmsnarl with Rillaboom's Fake Out, and then once we had a little bit of chip damage into them, we hit them with a Wood Hammer. Wasn't quite enough to finish them off, but they elected to go for Spirit Break instead of, say, Reflect, so we were then able to get around Grimmsnarl with our Grassy Glide, since Rillaboom was naturally faster, and the Reflect and Grassy Glide both would have been a priority of 1. Therefore, since Rillaboom was faster, we were able to get it off of the field, which was nice. And then Blastoise came in. They hit us with a Fake Out. Not enough to knock out Raging Bolt, and Rillaboom just said, "Hey, turtle," and just bopped them with a Wood Hammer. So we got the knockout on the Blastoise there as well. I am very happy with how the team played out. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it in action. Be sure to let me know down in the comments section below. And also, on the off chance that you see this video here, but you haven't seen my previous videos and you are subscribed, maybe consider hitting the bell notification button there, just in case YouTube isn't letting you know when I upload. Anyways, guys, I will see you next time. Bye-bye.